All right, welcome back. It's another episode of Tinkle Sports Talk, and look who had to pay up a bet.
Yep, I know.
Meanwhile,
You know what? There.
Yep.
But you know what? It's alright. It's Heath Miller, so it's alright. Actually, yeah, no, it is. Yeah, Heath Miller.
Okay.
Hines Ward was 86. I keep on getting the two
I would have
mixed up
given
for
you
some
more
reason.
respect if it was Hines Ward.
I probably, yeah.
But hey.
Well, you know, it's not my choice. I'm not. That's my favorite team, so it's Marty's favorite team.
Hey.
If anybody knows, yeah, the Buffalo Bills, in a better sense of the mark, shit the bed in the second half. Gave up 20 unanswered points. Not actually 20 unanswered points. They gave up 20 points in the second half to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it was 10-3 heading into halftime, and Pittsburgh right out of the gates after halftime just whew.
Yeah.
It's like Big Ben, man, got pissed off and it's like wanted to be that old Big Ben of old and just go out there and put the onslaught.
He's heard enough about people calling him washed up. I'm telling you. That's my thought. Now, I was going to wear a football jersey, but your boy just came from a baseball game, so...
That's fine.
You know. By the way, Red Wings won, so just thought I'd throw that out there. But coming up today on Tinkle Sports Talk, we're going to have our Week 1 NFL recap. We're also going to have our Week 2 predictions, Tinkle on this. But first, we're going to talk some NBA news. And the LA Clippers have an announcement on the stadium opening date. I guess my question here is, were they better off at the Staples Center, or should they have built a new stadium?
No, I think it was time. It's been time. I know that they were talking about getting a new stadium for years now, and the better question is, how come they waited so long? They could have done it any time. They were always at the Staples Center and always sharing. I just want to know. I know, you know, they had to find the right owner, and they found it in Steve Ballmer. Then you start having some success. I mean, they got into the Western Conference Finals for the first time in, I think, franchise history too.
Yeah.
And the only way to go up is, why not have a brand new stadium? And honestly, I think it looks better than the Staples Center. I don't know if you looked at the designs of the projected stadiums, but man, I like the scoreboard design that they have. It just has a different feel. I think it's what you might start seeing for these NBA stadiums looking into the future, honestly. So,
okay, I'm seeing it now.
It looks nice.
That's nice.
It looks really nice.
Must be nice that California has all this money to give the Clippers.
Yeah, but how much of it is the Californians, and how much of it is Steve Ballmer being the former CEO of Microsoft?
I want to know the answer to that too, but something tells me it's mostly going to be crowdfunded, or not crowdfunded, taxpayer paid, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
With how many rich people are in California, I'm pretty sure it'll be like a cakewalk in the park.
Yeah, but I will say this, when you associate the Staples Center, you associate it with the Lakers. There's no question.
Yeah, I know.
They've always lived... They're kind of like... Let me put it this way. They're like your younger sibling having your first grade teacher. They're always going to compare you to the older brother, or the older sibling in a way. And that's kind of what the Clippers are like when they play in that stadium. It's, oh, well, you haven't won any championships. Look at the Lakers. They've won 16 or 17.
They won 17.
Yeah, they won
they just
17
tied the
more
Celtics.
than you. Why haven't you won any? Okay, it's just a daunting reminder. But I will tell you, part of the stadium design is there's no room for banners. Aww.
Come on, stop it. But, like I said, again, I don't know why it took so long. And now Clippers fans have to wait even longer. They have to wait literally 3 more years just for the stadium to be open. But if you think about it, that's roughly how long it takes for a new stadium to get built and all the other stuff.
The other thing is it may take
one, the funding, of course, them building it, and then getting everything.
But here's the thing, it's also going to take at least 3 years because keep in mind, a lot of supplies are in high demand right now, and there's not much supply. So either that or it's going to cost more just to get it open in time. So those are the two downsides. But, I guess in a way, if they don't want to play in the Lakers' shadow anymore, it only makes sense. But anyway, I guess.
But you're right. You're right. You think Staples Center, you think Lakers. You don't think Clippers, even though the Clippers look better than the Lakers this past season.
It's just like the first grade teacher when they see your last name and then you're like, oh, I taught your older brother. And then you're just compared to that pretty much for the rest of your life. So
pretty much.
But with that, let's move forward here. I'm sure. Sorry, it's going to be kind of a short show today. We're recording Saturday night. I'm trying to get this up in time. So that's kind of why. But we're going to have our Week 1 NFL recap. And actually, I'll let Jason start here since he won the pick battle.
So I got some interesting stuff. Between the Bills and the Steelers, it was very defensive, very, no team really was scoring. Eventually, there was, some score. There was I think the Bills were the first team to come off the bat, get all the way down the field, and then score a field goal. It was actually the first score of the of that Sunday evening slot of games. But if I saw anything, the Steelers' defense is no joke. There's a reason why they paid their defensive end the most money of any defensive end in the NFL, because he's really no joke. He comes off the edge, and he just unguardable. Hence why, I hate to say it, that was the main reason why Buffalo was holding on that offensive front so much, because they knew they were getting outmanned by T.J. Watt and Melvin Ingram. That's why I say, if you think about anything, I think the Steelers team this year is a hell of a lot better than it was last year, especially defensive wise. I guess the whole question is if Melvin Ingram can actually stay healthy. We talked about it before, but from that game, he looked poised to come off the right-hand side. Because both of those guys starting together and everything else that they have on that defense, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Devin Bush in the middle, I just think that the Steelers' defense are probably one more player away from being a dominant defense and like the defense they had back in the Steel Curtain days. As far as my other takeaways, Rodgers, man, I don't know. He looked out of it in that freaking press conference. He looked like he just was on the sidelines, just acted like he didn't care. Like, hey man, this is your guys' battle. I'm just here for the ride, basically. That's what it looked like to me. Will we still see Rodgers being Rodgers out there? I think so. I think he's still going to have some games where he wants to still prove he can do something. But after that first game, he acted like he just was there for the paycheck and just as that. It just didn't look like he cared. I just don't think that he cares to be on that team anymore, and it's really sad it's gotten to that point. Hurts has something to prove. Man, did he look... he went out there and looked just so poised. Like, Watson who? Man, I can go out there and freaking sling the football all around, and that's what he did. Devontae Smith looked really good in his debut. Hurts, I really do think that Philadelphia, after seeing that, Who knows? They might be the team to beat in the NFC East. I hate to say it.
In the NFC least.
Yeah.
But
Now, I know you probably had this also in your takeaways, and you'll probably talk about it a little bit too, but honestly, I don't think that Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Watson are going to have jobs after what I saw with Tyrod Taylor and Taylor Heineke, honestly. I just don't think that... I think their careers are basically done, over with. Fitzpatrick is currently out of a hip injury. Watson is just a healthy scratch, and I don't think he's going to see an ounce of football at all this year. Which is interesting because it makes you think, what the hell, why did he even come back to the team? Could have just said, I'm out. Or asked for his release or something like that. But, man, I'll be the first one to comment here. I know you said that Tyrod might actually do well in week one. I'll be the first one to say, damn, I guess you were right. I guess I was wrong. I thought Tyrod Taylor was going to go out there and absolutely shit the bed as a starter quarterback because he hasn't really been that great in the last few years.
But you talk about people who have things to prove. He's number one on that list because keep in mind, last year he lost his job because of a team doctor. So just thought I'd point that out.
I know. And I will say, this is in my last point, the Bills got a serious reality check, and don't be shocked if they come out week 2 hungrier than they were week 1. Honestly, Miami, you might have a freaking problem at your hands. Because first off, Josh Allen, is undefeated against him in 5 starts. 2, Stephon Diggs, the last few times those 2 times he went up against Miami, had pretty decent games against them. So and 3, don't be shocked if Isaiah McKenzie has himself another career year game against Miami, because it happened in week 17 last year. If we remember, Mr. 3 touchdowns in that game, 2 receiving touchdowns, and then he returned a punt all the way to the end zone for a touchdown. So don't be shocked if we get another Isaiah McKenzie type of start right out of the gun. So I really do think it was a reality check they needed. I think those players are poised hungrier than they are. And if I wanted to say anything, I don't, as a Bills fan, I don't feel scared about the other 3 teams. Like I was telling Brian before we started, honestly, all the teams scored about the same points. I don't see one team edging any other team as of right now. So we take it on to Brian's takeaways for week 1 here.
Let me just comment on yours real quick. Yes, I believe the Steelers are no joke with the defense. But I will say they're also out there to prove that they were not the worst 11-0 team last year, which granted, that argument is debunked. I mean, they got swept by the Browns the last 2 weeks of their season, essentially. But, you know, I'm just going to say if Rodgers is going to tank and he's just not going to care this year, all he's hurting is himself at the end of the day. He's hurting his value.
Because then his trade value just goes way down.
Yeah, and then while I'm not sounding the alarm on the Bills this week, I will say, though, if they drop this game, keep in mind they play the football team next week. If they lose to the football team and the Dolphins, I'm sounding the alarm. I'm sorry. 0-3 is not... It's not easy to come back from. So,
not usually.
But now I'll get on to my takes here. So let me just say this, and I don't care what anyone has as far as an argument goes. Mac Jones was the most impressive rookie quarterback this past weekend. By far, it wasn't even close. Okay? Let's face it, 29 of 39, I believe he almost threw for 300 yards against a top 5 Dolphins defense. You may not think very highly of the Dolphins defense, but they're top 5 in the league regardless. Okay, he ate them up, and frankly, the better team lost that game at the end of the day. Because, I mean, Mac Jones was far more impressive than Tua. It was the defense that just happened to win the game for the Dolphins, based on everything I saw. Now,
if it wasn't for Damian Harris fumbling, honestly, they would have won.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say that if you guys drop to the Dolphins, I would be worried about New England because I heard Mac Jones turned away his first touchdown football. He wants to focus on, he doesn't care about personal achievements. He cares about winning games.
And honestly, I respect that. I really do.
And can I also say that he was studying film before, right as he got on the plane for the next team. This is a Bill Belichick quarterback we're looking at right now. I'm telling you, I think we're underestimating New England by a mile.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to underestimate him, but like, if I know anything, like, yeah, he was better than Tua in college. That's also because Tua was also hurt a lot in college.
Well, Tua had nothing special as far as an arm goes. He just had special talent around him.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Keep in mind, I would have said the same about Mac Jones if Mac Jones wasn't drafted by New England. The fact that he landed into a system with a coach who is no bullshit, kind of like Nick Saban, it just happened to work out that way. And on top of it, the build that he has compared to the other quarterbacks. He's more a pocket quarterback than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also because he just has... Honestly, if you think about it, he kind of has that, like, Big Ben build, almost, where he can stand in the pocket and just pass, but, like, I don't know. I just think I guess I was wrong. I think he might actually have some really good success in the NFL, but it's also New England we're talking about, and they usually can turn into any, like, pocket passer into a freaking star at this point.
Oh, yeah. But I'm also going to add to the next point here. So, I think, even though the 49ers held on to win, that near choke that the near choke that they sustained on Sunday says more about the Lions than it does about the 49ers at the end of the day. I don't change my prediction as far as all 4 teams are going to the playoffs. I'm sticking to it. It's the fact that the Lions have fight. Okay, they have heart. I texted all my friends that are Lions fans, and I told them I was impressed, honestly, because everyone was saying Jared Goff's not going to be that good. Everyone was saying the Lions probably won't be that good. I thought they were going to battle for the basement of the NFL this year. To be honest, after that game, I'm leaning toward maybe later top 10.
I don't know. It's always tough to tell because, you got a coach that wasn't all that great in Miami. Then you have
But he's different. That's the one thing. He's not your conventional. He's not your conventional coach. He's a no shit. He's basically, to me, another Bill Belichick. I'm not saying he's.
And I forgot. Isn't it Minnesota that's leading the division, or are all teams 0-1?
All teams are 0-1 in that division. But I just want to iterate real quick. I just said that Dan Campbell is sort of like a Bill Belichick. But let me iterate more before people are like, where the hell is this comparison coming from? Okay? Let me explain it. Bill Belichick was trash in his first 2 stints. Okay? He was trash in Cleveland. I believe he was with the Giants.
I'm pretty sure he was. He was the last coach that took the Browns to their playoff appearance in 2002. So I don't know where you think that he's trash.
He wasn't there in 2002. He was there in the late 90s. Belichick was always with Brady, and Brady was 0-1. Okay, so
oh well, yeah, you're right.
I stand by what I say, in that look, Dan Campbell was trash when he went to Miami. He was destined to be trash over there. You know, he goes to the Saints, he becomes kind of the offensive mind there. And you want to know what? He learned a bit from Sean Payton, who, by the way, learned a lot from one other Hall of Fame coach. Shoot, I forget his name, but oh my gosh, how do I forget his name? But yeah, so much like Belichick, you know, he's going, I don't know if it's going to be in Detroit, but he's a guy who's proven he should be coaching in this league. Okay, he didn't, you know, usually 38-10, it's, oh, let's throw in the backups, we're done, we're not competing. He fought till the very end, and I'm telling you, whether it's in Detroit, maybe it's somewhere else, he is going to have a successful career as a head coach in the NFL. It may take him a while, but he will have one.
Yeah, and I think Jared Goff is the right player. I just think that he needs the receivers around him to really do.
Hey, there's time.
They better hope.
It may not be this year, but there will be time. My third point, though, Justin Herbert is going to have a breakout year. Okay? Listen, he ate up.
With an improved offensive line, too.
It wasn't as spectacular as everyone made it out to be. But I will say, he was poised. He looked like he never missed a beat from last season against Washington. Another top 5 defense, mind you. This is why I picked Washington, because of their top 5 defense. So
right.
Let me just say that, again, the only issue I had with that game, and it's a common issue in every game in the NFL, refereeing. Okay, first off, the Chargers should have gotten called 2 times for blatant face masks that were right in front of the ref's face, and they didn't call it. Okay, they didn't call it. And now Washington got away with some penalties. As a coach, I like to see refs, take control of the game early and do it consistently. But when it's blatant and obvious that someone got fouled, I'm sorry. Like, you've got to call it.
Yeah.
And on top of it, roughing the passer on the Chargers when Joey Bosa was midair, couldn't control himself at that point. Terrible call. So let me just say that. They got a good win, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to skip ahead 1 point because I want to stay on this game and not kind of flip-flop everywhere. I'm more scared of the Washington football team with Taylor Heineke under center than I am with Ryan Fitzpatrick under center.
Oh, yeah, okay? For sure.
Let me tell you, all those years of being a backup and holding a clipboard has certainly helped him. He is a smart, young quarterback. I'm telling you, he is the franchise guy. And honestly,
I think they are right that was saying, like, if he was on any other team, he would be a starter right now.
Yeah. There's no doubt there. And don't say, oh, well, he has Terry McLaurin, who's going to be a top 10 receiver in the league in a few years. And, oh, they've got Logan Thomas. He's got pieces all around him. Okay? I don't want to hear that. Okay? If we're going to talk about anyone inheriting a good offense, we don't start any further than Patrick Mahomes. Okay? So you want to talk about someone who inherited a good offense, go look at the guy in Kansas City. He inherited the best offense in the league. They didn't need him. Okay? They'd still be winning with Alex Smith if he was their quarterback.
And that's why I said the Washington football team wouldn't shock me if they ended up winning the division. But then after seeing how Philadelphia performed, it wouldn't also shock me if Philadelphia and Washington end up fighting for the division.
And let me point...
But we'll very well see.
Yeah, and let me point this out as well. I think Washington would have lost by more points if Ryan Fitzpatrick stayed under center that last game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also look at last season. Okay, Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins were their two top quarterbacks. Obviously, reverse the order. Dwayne Haskins was number 1, Kyle Allen number 2. Okay?
Right.
Those two, when they ran that offense was in the lower 20s in terms of yards, just general offense. Alex Smith goes in, and he changes the game. Okay? He changes the whole landscape of that division the second he steps foot on the turf. Okay, let's face it, if that didn't happen, Dallas would have won the division last year. It would have been Dallas, or it might have been the Giants. Okay, but it would have been Dallas or New York representing the NFC least. Because the NFC least, Washington wouldn't have finished any better than 2-12 last year.
Probably.
So, as far as my final takeaway, we talked about Kyle Allen, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes being in that MVP race, and Russell Wilson. We forgot one guy. And this guy, I've been calling it the last few years, he is going to be a threat for an MVP, and it's Kyler Murray. Okay? Let's face it, he has shown, he carved up Tennessee. Carved them.
Yeah, Tennessee literally looked like they were the team before getting the team that they have now, honestly.
Exactly. I'm telling you, this is why I'm standing by my prediction that the NFC West is going to sweep the wild cards in the NFC. But I will say that I think also Tennessee, I know I said I'm not sounding the alarm on the Bills, but that was a close game. That was a good defensive game. Okay? I'm sounding the alarm on Tennessee right now because that was
I kind of am too.
Embarrassing. And
yeah,
just
it was.
Think, and just
Derrick Henry was held under 100 yards too, rushing. That's hard to do with the man that he is, like 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds or something like that of pure muscle. That man is not hard to stop. Let's just say that.
Come on, exactly.
So Arizona stopped him. Their offense and defense were just looking good, and they stopped Tennessee from just exploding, especially with the talent that they have on offense too.
And that duo of Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt, they lived up to full expectations. They lived.
Oh, especially Chandler Jones.
In fact,
Chandler Jones had 5 sacks.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd even dare to say, just because of that, they exceeded expectations.
Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm telling you, I would not be shocked, not only if Arizona wins this division, but let's add to it, might they also run it back? That's all I'm going to say. Do I dare say it this early that they have a chance to run it back? Because
it would be nice because... But the only problem I have here is, was Larry Fitzgerald too soon to not show up for Arizona to say that I'm done? Especially when Arizona's doing so well already out the gates.
How much was he holding them back is the other question. Not saying that...
He probably could have been.
Not saying...
He probably was.
Look, Larry Legend is a Hall of Famer. He deserves every bit of respect he's ever gotten. He's by far the great... I wouldn't say the greatest receiver of all time. But as far as attitude goes, he's the least cockiest. He's the most well-respected wide receiver of all time. And if you don't like him, then you can just turn off our podcast. You can stop watching football because you clearly don't know anything. So,
I'll make this bold prediction.
Sorry to get harsh.
Make this bold prediction right now. Watch them somehow get to the Super Bowl and watch him somehow make a roster spot for him just so then he can say, I'm going to play another one and actually win.
I don't think
the question is, too, if they do somehow win it, did they give him a championship ring? That's a real
He
question I
deserves
want
it.
to know.
You know what,
I think so too.
Larry Fitzgerald.
You should give him one.
It's something with those Phoenix athletes, okay? Chris Paul, in a way, is like the Larry Fitzgerald of the NFL, or the NBA there.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Fitzgerald is like the Chris Paul of the NFL, okay?
Right.
They're both well-respected, but have never won a title, okay?
I know.
But anyway, that brings us to our break here. When we come back, we will have our Week 2 NFL predictions, and then we'll have our Tinkle on this, and boy, it's a good one this week. So you won't want to miss it. We'll be back in just a moment here on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. All right, welcome back. It is time for us to make our picks for Week 2 of the NFL season and the Week 3 Thursday night football game. Let's show you the current standings. So right now, I did not have a good Week 1. Jason, on the other hand, may have just barely made the playoffs in the AFC. Okay.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. But anyway, let's start off here. Bengals and Bears. Keep in mind, Andy Dalton plays his former team. Chicago, a 1.5 point favorite here.
I don't know. This one's... I want to say I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I really do think that Cincy definitely looked good in that game. Week 1. Chicago really hasn't proven anything other than just being kind of like a joke.
Yeah.
I still think that, Dalton looked good week 1. I don't know if enough to be the starter, but I think that Lamar Chase and Joe Burrow have something to prove, and they didn't miss a step. So I want to say Cincinnati is going to go 2-0 and start the year against Chicago. I don't know what you think.
Chicago did not look good last game. Let's put it that way. We expected it. I think we can say we expected it. But of course it was, keep in mind, it was a Rams defense that they went up against.
Right.
And the Rams defense, again, another top 5 defense in the league. So I'm just going to say hold the brakes on the bench Andy Dalton thing. I think this game's going to be close, but I'm going to pick Cincinnati to come out with this one. Now we move ahead here. Boy, things we didn't think we'd see in 2021. Houston Texans 1-0 going against the Browns that are 0-1. And the Browns are 13.5 point favorites.
Holy hell. Holy hell. Wow.
No pressure.
Yeah. I really do think that Cleveland is going to get a bounce back win. I honestly thought that they were going to come back in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And of course, Baker Mayfield was Baker Mayfield and threw a pick.
Yeah.
Probably the worst throw he ever threw. And probably the one throw he definitely regrets because he was on the field just, on the turf. And just, you knew that, man, you knew in his head, it's like, why? Why the hell did I make that mistake? Like, he wanted to take it back. But I really do think that Baker Mayfield is going to go into play in front of that Cleveland crowd and get the win. So I'm going to go with the Browns.
I'm going to go with the Browns too, but I will say that Game 1 proved a lot about the Texans, okay? Tyrod's got something to prove, and I would even go as far to say Mark Ingram has things to prove. Okay, 26 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Again, everyone thought he was done. To me, he's like DeMarco Murray. He's got another year or two maybe left in the tank if they're lucky. And I just don't think Baltimore was a good measurement of how good Mark Ingram really is. So that I will say. I'm going to stick with the Browns here, though. I think, I know it says 13.5, but I wouldn't be shocked if this game is within 10 points.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot closer than what the analysts say.
Yes. Anyway, Rams and Colts. Rams are 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't see a lot from the Colts in that game against Seattle. I kind of figured Seattle was going to get the win. And I honestly, the Rams are just... I can see where the analysts think that the Rams could honestly make it all the way and play in their own home field. Because, man, Stafford went out there in game 1 and just lit it up. I honestly think it's going to happen again. I think that Matthew Stafford has something to prove in LA. I think he's going to go out there week 2 and do it again. So I'm going to go with the Rams over Indianapolis. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if Carson Wentz ends up being on his back at least 6-7 times.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go with you here. I'm going to say the Rams. I think the Colts do have more... that I think they're a little better than they played week 1. I will say it's going to take a bit for Carson Wentz to get up to speed. I think that's a big part of it. But I wouldn't necessarily rule the Colts out of this game per se. So again, I'm gonna go with the Rams. Just because, again, this division may very well come down to all 4 teams. Anyway, Bills and Dolphins here. Bills are 3.5-point favorites. Jason's paying off a bet after the L last week. So let's see it.
I know I was saying it. I really do think... I mean, I don't want to keep on always being biased to my team all the time. But I really do think that Buffalo is going to go into Miami and avenge their loss in week 1. I think they know exactly what they have to do going forward. I think that preparing and game plan, they not saying that they always have the Dolphins number. I mean, I do think that maybe eventually they'll lose one. I don't think it's going to be here. Who knows? It could happen week 8, but I don't think it's going to happen week 2. I think Buffalo is going to avenge their loss. They're going to go into Miami, and I think they're going to get the division lead back in their hands. So I will say Buffalo over Miami.
Hey, Sean McDermott, your playbook's in front of you, man. Quit staring at female ref booty, okay? You costed your team the damn game because you had to trust the process on the sidelines with the female ref.
Hey, man, you had to trust the process with trying to get that onside kick, but that didn't happen.
You had to trust the process that he was going to get her digits even though he's married.
Hey, man.
Man's got to play.
Oh, gosh.
But I'm going to take the Bills here. I will say, though, I don't think they're going to totally avenge that loss. I just think that the Dolphins are going to play them close because that defense, again, I'm sure Diggs is going to have a better game. Josh Allen will probably be close to 300 yards. I would say, though, still about 65% is what I'm going to guess is where he'll be in the ballpark.
I will say Diggs was playing like Diggs. Yes, he didn't get into the 100 yards category of that game, but he did have 9 receptions in that game, and he's had, I think they said 9 or so, like 7 straight games of 6+ catches. Honestly, I'm gonna say, I think he's gonna get that again in this game. I think he's gonna have 6+ receptions in that game.
Yep. I can see that. But I will say, though, that if this game does turn the other way, and here's the thing, streaks are made to be broken. We can say Josh Allen's undefeated against Miami, but streaks are made to be broken. I think it's going to happen at some point this year. But I will say, if it happens week 2, and it's an ugly game, I know I said 0-3 is where I'll sound the alarm, but if this game is ugly, like ugly lopsided in Miami's favor, I may just sound the alarm after this game about Buffalo. I still am not changing my prediction about the AFC, though. I will change one, is that I think now it's the Browns, the number 3 team. But anyway, we have another AFC East matchup. It's the Patriots and the Jets. New England favored by 6. Keep in mind, Mac Jones, the second he stepped foot on the plane, he already was studying the Jets playbook.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the Jets week 1 at all. I think Zach Wilson just looked like another bum quarterback, honestly. He looked like he was scared. He looked like he didn't know how to play up against NFL defenses whatsoever. And he got, 14 points on an alright team, but honestly, I just think that he's going to go up against the New England Patriots and get another reality check. So I'm going to go with the Pats over the Jets. And
yep.
Who knows? They could very well be leading the division after probably not, but who knows? Pats, have a favorable to be leading the division into week 2, so or heading to week 3, so who knows? Because I think if both Buffalo and New England go 1-1, as long as one has a better points, like more points against the team that they're going up against in the division, they get the division lead. Because of that, that'll be like the tiebreaker type of thing. So don't be shocked if New England ends up leading that division heading into week 3. But it's too early to tell. Games happening tomorrow. Yeah. So, but I still go New England. I just think that the Jets are gonna be. It's gonna take a little bit of time before the Jets really get going.
Yeah.
To be that team that they expect to be.
This is why when you guys texted all preseason, you're like, oh, football's back. This is exactly why I say it's preseason. Who gives a shit? Okay?
Right.
And I'm telling you, I stand by it because Zach Wilson, he looked great in preseason, but those aren't real reps, okay? Those are reps against guys generally who probably won't even be on the active roster in a given season. I'm not saying that's what Zach Wilson went up against, but let's face it, no one cares in preseason. It's literally just a scrimmage. Okay? They don't hand out banners for the preseason. If they did, the Ravens' whole stadium would be flooded with banners. Okay? Let's face it, we would have given the Ravens a trophy for the last 5 years. Okay.
Oh, I know.
So, with that, though, I'm going with the Jets. The Patriots. I'm going with the Patriots.
I was about to say,
Sorry,
what?
I got distracted. I was talking about how bad the Jets were. But, again, I'm going to make this prediction as well. That I think New England is going to score 30+.
Good, buddy.
30+. And that's Marty, by the way, laughing at Jason. Marty, nice jersey to pick out, by the way. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I think New England scores 30, and Mac Jones has a 300-yard game.
That wouldn't shock me.
So now we're on.
It really wouldn't.
Yes, now we're on to the 49ers and the Eagles. The 49ers have a 3-point advantage.
This is a tough one because Philadelphia looked good, so did San Fran, honestly. So I feel like it's one of those games that could go either way. But I still think that San Fran has a way better team overall than the Philadelphia Eagles. So I want to go to San Fran. I think that their defense just looks too good against Philadelphia's all right team. I mean, I think Philadelphia has it all right, going for them on offense. But as far as San Fran, I just think that they're the best overall team, and I think that they're gonna start out the gates 2-0.
I'm going to disagree here. Maybe it's because I'm down 3 games to you to start the season. Maybe it's because I'm crazy. Who knows? I'm picking the Eagles in this game. And I'll explain why here. So Eagles looked impressive. Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, they're off to a good start. I'm telling you, because of that, they're feeling confident about themselves. They feel like they got the chemistry going. Essentially all's good right now. They're leading the division nonetheless. Compare that to the 49ers, who, even though they won, I don't think there's anything good you can take away from that game, because you had a 38-10 lead and you almost blew it. Okay, so that's where I say you really can't take much good out of that, and that scares me. Now, I know I said a lot of it can be a lot of credit should be given to Detroit, but I am going to say that there's still blame on the 49ers, and I just don't know if they're going to get it right here. So I'm picking the Eagles. Anyway, we move ahead, though. Raiders-Steelers. Steelers are 6-point favorites right now.
This one's a tough one. I think it's going to be a very defensive game, to be honest. And the reason why I say that is because the Raiders showed to me that they actually have some playmakers on that defense. Matt Crosby is a great defensive end for them. And then Pittsburgh has a great, defense too. So I think what's going to edge both teams here is just Pittsburgh's defense. I think is going to outplay the Raiders' defense. I'm going to go Pittsburgh going 2-0.
Why are you saying such blasphemous things? You said the Raiders 2-0?
No, I said the Steelers 2-0.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, my earbud was kind of falling out, so I didn't hear that. I'm calling blasphemy on the Raiders actually being good again, just because it's John Gruden, and they fell apart last year. They're going to do the same thing here. They're losing to Pittsburgh. I'm going to tell you right now, Pittsburgh's going to score at least 20. Raiders will be lucky to get 10. That's my prediction right there. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. You all know why I'm saying that, and it's not because I'm a Chargers fan. It's because John Gruden hasn't come into this century of football. But anyway, we move ahead. Another 1 o'clock game. Man, a lot of 1 o'clock games this week.
I know there is.
Saints-Panthers. The Saints are 3-point favorite, and frankly, I'm not shocked. I'm shocked it's not more. But Jason, what's your pick here?
I know we didn't really talk. I should have put this as my takeaway. Can we talk about how I just didn't think that Jameis Winston was going to go out and throw 5 touchdowns in week 1 at all?
Oh, I know. I didn't expect it either.
I just didn't expect that at all. I really do think that the Saints just have it together. No matter who they have at starting quarterback, I don't know. They just know how to get it together. It's ridiculous how good of a coach Sean Payton is. I don't think Sean Payton gets enough credit. I'm just shocked that he doesn't get coach of the year every year. He just knows how to get things going. But I really do think that Panthers on the 1-0 start is going to be short-lived. I think they're going to lose to their division rival in the Saints.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you that the Saints don't change anything about my AFC or my NFC predictions. Okay, they had an impressive win, but how much of that was attributed to Rodgers not caring? Okay, that's where I start
Yeah.
off by saying, how much can we really judge the Saints playing against the Panthers? Because the Panthers played against a Jets team where Zach Wilson really wasn't that impressive. In a way, Zach Wilson may just very well be like a Josh Allen, where he's going to start his career off really slow, and then he's going to get better. But I rest my
one can
case.
hope. But then again, also, how much of that contributed to the Saints defense being really good and also just throwing Rodgers way off in that game too? Because
Oh yeah,
he threw 2 picks in that game. So who's to say that they can't make Darnold's day a living hell and do the same thing to him? Because Darnold isn't the best quarterback, especially when he has a lot of pressure in his face. He is somebody that can easily make mistakes, and don't be shocked if that happens again.
exactly. So I'm gonna go with the Saints. I think they start out 2-0, and again, Winston's gonna look like a god.
I think so.
So that's all I'm gonna say. Now we're on to the Broncos and the Jags, the final 1 o'clock game. Denver has a 6-point advantage. What's it gonna be here?
I really do think that the Denver Broncos and Teddy Bridgewater looked really impressive against the Giants. Melvin Gordon, can we just talk about your Melvin Gordon for a sec? I know he sailed, but he looked like prime Melvin Gordon in that game against the Giants. I know that they don't have the best defense in the world, but man, he was just rushing all over them. I'm expecting the same thing. I think him and DeJounte Williams there, the rookie running back.
Yeah.
I think they're probably one of the 2 better tandems in the NFL. And I really do think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to go out there again. And I think he's got something to prove as a starter. So I really do think that Denver is going to start 2-0. I just think that Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to... I think they're going to struggle again this year. Don't be shocked if they end up, only having a few wins on the year. I think it's going to take a year or 2 before Jacksonville can get things right, especially with Trevor Lawrence.
So, I'm going to lean toward Denver. This is going to be a close game, though. I think Jacksonville's going to come close to getting the win. I'm not totally sold on Melvin Gordon still, just because he's Melvin Gordon, and he's generally a not so consistent running back. And then, of course, Jerry Jeudy's out right now as well, if I'm not mistaken. So another big thing.
Jerry Jeudy's on IR.
Yeah, another big thing to note there. So, again, I'm going to go with the Broncos here. As we go down the list now, another 4:05 game. Vikings and Cardinals, Arizona 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah. I hate to say it, I think it's going to be by more. I really do think that Arizona has going for them right now. Kyler Murray is just going to have another MVP-like game against a Minnesota team that just doesn't look all too impressive at all. Don't get me wrong, I do think that it might be back and forth. I mean, Kirk Cousins can end up putting it into some great games. But I really do think Arizona is just going to be way too much for Minnesota, and I think Minnesota is going to start 0-2. Arizona is going to start 2-0.
Kyler Murray's going to have a similar start to what Russell Wilson did last year. I think he's going to lead the league in touchdowns through the first 4 or 5 weeks. He might cool off after that. Who knows? But I'm going to go Arizona. It won't even be close. 3.5 is an insult. So That's what I'm going to say about that. Now we've
Right.
got the Atlanta Falcons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and no surprise, Tampa Bay, 12.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Tampa Bay.
Hmm.
I don't think this game is going to be that close. I don't
Yeah.
think so at all. Tampa Bay is a hell of a lot better than New England was during that Super Bowl run. Tampa Bay just has way too much
Yeah.
talent around them. And I really do think it's not even going to be close. I think Tampa Bay is just going to onslaught the Falcons.
Tampa Bay is going to onslaught them. Yeah, I'm going with that. I'm going to just tell you the only thing I can say about the Tampa defense week 1 is that it didn't look like they were prepped for Dak Prescott. Honestly, like Dak,
No, not at all.
let's face it, Dak hadn't played in a year. I don't think anyone expected him to be this good, and he played lights out. So, again, I think they slept on him. They won't sleep on Matt Ryan and the Falcons. So,
No.
now Cowboys, Chargers, 3-point favorites, and the first time that the Chargers will have fans at SoFi Stadium, and they still will play an away game. I can say that they're my team.
I do think that this game is going to be closer than what they think. So I will say that they got that one right. I don't think you can sleep on Dak Prescott having another like 400-yard game in this game. Honestly, well, I do think that the Chargers are going to come away with it. But don't be shocked if Herbert and Prescott literally had to throw haymakers at each other. And when I mean haymakers, I mean like throw yards down the field against each other.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a high throwing game between both teams. It's going to come down to it's literally going to come down to the last minute. I think kind of like what it did with Tampa Bay and Dallas last week. So don't be shocked if this comes down to the last possible second with like a game-winning field goal or something like that.
Yep.
So
Mike Williams has to cut down on his drops. Mike Williams had way too many drops week 1 that should have been caught. Keenan Allen, though, on the other hand, proved once again that he is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, and he doesn't get the credit for it.
he's very underrated.
So
Very
that's all I'm
underrated
gonna
as a
say.
wide receiver.
That's all I'm going to say. He's top 5. Just accept it. NFL analysts, just accept it. NFL fans, he's top 5. You can argue with me all you want. He is top 5. So that said, I'm picking the Chargers. It won't be a blowout like the last time they played on Thanksgiving, but it will be a little closer. I can see, here's the thing, the defense wasn't very disciplined week 1 for the Chargers. They need to be a little more disciplined here. I think Zeke is going to have a little bit of a bigger game, but it's not going to be enough. Anyway, Titans, Seahawks, 6.5 favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think Tennessee got exposed by Arizona, and who's to say that Seattle can't expose them again, honestly.
Yep.
I don't think Tennessee is going to be the team that they expect to be this year at all in the AFC.
And
I just think that teams have the answer on them.
So,
and I feel bad for Julio. Julio joined them thinking, okay, I'm going to bring something. No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's going to bring that team down. And I think that, like we said about the NFC West, right?
Yeah.
The NFC West is just way too good, and I think Seattle is going to. Who's to say all 4 of those teams can't end up being, 2-0 to start off the gates? So.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to go with Seattle, and I'm going to say it's going to be within a touchdown.
See, I give I wanted to give the Titans the edge, but keep in mind the 12-man is back in the stadium in Seattle.
Oh yeah, and the loudest crowd.
Yep.
Loudest stadium in the NFL too.
Exactly. That's why I'm giving the edge to the Seahawks. But if the Seahawks are going to blow any game early in the year, this might just be it.
True.
But again, I'm going to go Seattle. Anyway, we're on to the Sunday night football game. It's Chiefs and Ravens. Chiefs are a 4-point favorite.
Interesting to see a 4-point favorite. I think that Kansas City is going to win. I think it's going to be by a couple scores over Baltimore. And I think it's because Lamar Jackson's got to be more of a quarterback than a running back. Tyson Williams did look pretty good in that game for Baltimore. Not going to say that I think they found themselves a running back that can help them out. Don't be shocked if the Devontae Freeman also gets some snaps in this game because he is now part of the active roster. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I just don't think that they have enough talent to go punch, counter punch with Kansas City at all. So I think Kansas City will beat it by a couple scores in a game that I knew Baltimore was probably gonna struggle, but honestly, I think that they're really gonna be struggling because of those injuries, honestly.
Oh yeah. So I'm going Chiefs. Chiefs always have their number. That's all I'm going to say about it. The Chiefs always have the Ravens' number. It's not even going to be a close game. That's my honest prediction there. So, that said...
On to Monday night.
I don't have to explain anything about that. But anyway, on to Monday night. Packers back in Lambeau. They play the Lions. Green Bay is an 11.5-point favorite. That's disrespectful to Detroit.
This one's a tough one. Because if we get the Rodgers from week 1, of course Detroit. But if we get the Green Bay or the Aaron Rodgers that usually has Detroit's number, then Green Bay. I'm going to go Green Bay here. I think it's going to be a lot closer than 11.5. But I really do think that Rodgers is going to have one of those games where I honestly think that he's going to be a hell of a lot more focused in this game. I think that he just had to get that week 1 type of loss out of him where he can go out there and be like MVP Rodgers. So, and I will say this now, he needs to cut that god-awful hair of his. Because he just looks like he's... I hate to say it, he looks like he's smoking dope on a Sunday at a beach somewhere, honestly.
With his fiancée, by the way. That everyone hates now. By the way, Shailene Woodley, probably the most hated woman in Wisconsin right now. Should we note?
Yeah, because they probably think that she's the reason why he's just not caring, he's growing out his hair, he's just laid back, chill, and hate to say it, was it just me, or did he kind of look like he was drunk or high in that press conference?
He's
with the way that he was
the
looking.
Entire off season. I'm just saying.
No, just like that, glazed over look in his eye. He looked like he was just like.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna call an upset here. I'm calling Detroit beats Green Bay. You want to know why?
Okay.
Again, I think Rodgers wasn't focused, and let's face it, he got straight up disrespected. He had the worst game statistically of his entire career last game. I'm telling you, he does not seem focused. He does not seem like he wants to be there, and I don't think anything's going to change just in 8 days. So, again, and Detroit, keep in mind, they may have lost, but I assure you, the momentum of coming back from a 38-10 deficit is giving them a lot of hype and momentum. and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm going to say about that. Panthers and Texans. Panthers are 3.5-point favorites on Thursday night.
Jesus. I will say that the Texans, of course, are gonna lose to the Browns, but I think they're gonna come back week 3 on Thursday Night Football and beat the Panthers.
So you're picking the Panthers, huh?
No, I'm picking the Texans.
Oh,
I'm saying
sorry.
the Texans
Sorry,
are
I'm
gonna lose to
watching
the
what's
Browns.
going on in the race right now.
No, you're fine. I said I think the Texans are gonna lose week 2 and then come back.
Yep.
A short week 3 and beat the Panthers.
They're going to be the most unexpected 2-1 team. Texans are winning this
I think
game.
so too.
So, and of course, by the way, tickets are only $15 for a Thursday night game. I say we go to Houston.
Road trip? $15? That's very disrespectful for a Thursday night primetime game.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What was that like for 300 level?
I'm going to
$15?
so. Probably the top level.
Jeez.
But, anyway, speaking of
Make
the
it
Panthers,
$5, I might just be there.
Yeah, there we go. Speaking of the Panthers, by the way, they are on our Tinkle on this segment this week, of course. Keep in mind, Sam Darnold's trying to draw the Jets offside. He's, doing the fake hike, just yelling stuff out, trying to draw him. And, of course, in announcer fashion, you've had Troy Aikman say he starts to come and then he pulls out. I believe Joe Buck said something super erotic last season. Then, of course, now we've got another Fox announcer. I don't know who this one was, but he should be fired just for this statement. He said, and I quote, Matt Rule might be trying to jerk the Jets.
I know, I heard that.
Let's just put these games
I had to watch the video a couple different times because I think it was still in Buffalo during the time, and let me tell you something. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I can't believe that actually was said.
Why don't we put these Thursday night games on Pornhub, or these shit games on Pornhub Premium, so that way they can just talk all the sex language they want to talk. So, for that, Tinkle on this, Fox Sports.
Yeah, tinkle on this, please. Just, please get your crap together, analysts.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. You do it for a freaking living.
So, again, I want to apologize. I promised you I was listening. I was trying to pay attention, but at the same time, we've got racing going on right now. Out of Turn 4 is on Tuesday, as it says in that bottom corner below Jason. So, I've got to get some good notes for that. Much like if wrestling was on, I expect Jason to get great notes for No Final Bell.
Oh, gosh, I got some great notes, all right.
All right.
Episode 5, I think it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, if you've been watching that podcast, Dynamite and Rampage for this current week is going to be interesting. And also, No Final Bell, it might be weird as, like for week episode 6, it might be weird because, as you know, that week is the Rochester week. I don't know if
we'll have our in-person commentary.
Probably not.
Well,
don't want that copyright
in person
strike at all.
In-person analytics, analysts right there.
Right.
In a way. So that's what I guess is what I was going for.
Definitely check it out.
So, so check that out this week. Of course, the day before we have Out of Turn 4, fireworks at Bristol. Fireworks at Bristol. That's what had me so distracted. Kyle Larson is the winner at Bristol Motor Speedway. He is not only moving on to the next round, but he just added to his playoff point total. He now has 3,059 playoff points. Okay, so now he is going to have the lead by 30 points. Fireworks between Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott. Unbelievable. These two wrecked each other for the lead, and they had some words on pit road. It's Bristol, baby. That's all I got to say. And then, of course, we got IndyCar coming up as well. IndyCar at Laguna Seca. That should be a good event. Colton Herta is on the pole for later today's event, which I believe is on the main NBC network. So, man.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a kind of like a teaser. I guess the teaser for No Final Bell. It's gonna be guns and blazing. It's a grand slam for a reason. The Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York, is literally gonna hold the biggest card that AEW has held. One and two, the biggest crowd ever, and it's sold out too.
Oh.
So, and I will say this too. WWE hasn't just gotten beaten once in a demographic. They've been beaten twice in a demographic of 18 to 49. So, WWE, get your shit together, because you should be fearing AEW at this point. That's exactly my teaser right there.
Should I point out, I'm still watching the race, and I am listening to what you're saying, but there are more fireworks on pit lane between Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott. Boy, we may have a lot to discuss about this on Tuesday afternoon. Tune into those shows, and then, of course, we will be back here next Sunday on YouTube and audio. So we hope to see you then. Till then, guys, I hope we're not distracted next time, but, yeah, more me than Jason, but anyway.
Or hopefully I'm not going to look like I'm getting out of prison.
Yeah. The prison.
Just kidding.
The prison with the queen bee. Okay. But with that, all right. Goodbye, everyone. Hope we'll see you next Sunday.